everybody. Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. It is Tuesday of a busy weather week, holiday week. There are two separate systems impacting parts of the U.S. right now. We've got a lot of snow up north. We've got severe weather down towards the south. And I know we will eventually recap some of the severe weather from yesterday, but what a busy holiday week.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could just say, we've got this long stretch of seasonal, comfortable weather, perfect for outdoor activities, but a lot of challenges and not even like the same every day.
Right.
Different challenges as each day or half a day goes by. We'll dig into that in more detail. We've got a really good update coming up with Chief Meteorologist Tom Wax, and of course Stephanie will have the detailed regional outlook as well. But before we look ahead in time, I want to take you back in time. 75 years ago this week, the Great Appalachian Storm slammed the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, the Northeast with heavy snow, hurricane-force winds, coastal flooding, and brutal cold. They had more than 2 feet of snow burying parts of Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, including a record 63 inches. That's 5'3" of snow in Coburn Creek, West Virginia. Winds hit 94 miles per hour at what is now JFK Airport and 110 miles per hour in Concord, New Hampshire. Just unbelievable. That, of course, drove a lot of coastal flooding. You're looking at some video right now from the Fox Movietone News Archive taken at Staten Island. The storm dragged some Arctic air in behind it when it exited the region, and that dropped those temperatures even in the far south. Temperatures below zero in parts of South Carolina and Mississippi. In all, at least 160 lives were lost, and the damage totaled $66 million. That was actually the costliest U.S. weather disaster for insurers up to that time.
Wow.
Incredible video of that as well.
What a powerful storm.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, again, 75 years ago this week. So as we get into the stretch that is going to be challenging, bear in mind, it's been worse.
Yes.
A lot worse. Now, speaking of that, as we go down south, a busy day.
Yeah, very busy day. Speaking of power, a tornado rips through parts of Texas, leaving a trail of damage behind. So this video was shot in Harris County. More than 100 homes were damaged after the twister ravaged the Houston area. The storm left trees scattered across streets and roofs and shingles ripped from homes. The Houston Fire Department says it deployed several members to cut up and dismember toppled trees. Now, at this time, no major injuries have been reported, thankfully, because that's also a lot of damage.
Oh, man, look at that. I mean, these are large trees taken down.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you that any time of the year can be tornado season, even here in Wisconsin, but
very
particularly
true.
in the south as well. And you can see that significant damage, those cars, those homeowners. Happy that it wasn't worse, I suppose. Incredible video here as well of a water rescue. So this happened Monday morning in a river just north of Phoenix. A man and a woman were in a Jeep, which ended up getting stuck in the rising water. This is why we say, turn around, don't drown. The rescue team in a helicopter were able to save the woman, but tragically not the man. A witness who was stuck on the other side of the river says he watched the water levels rise 3 to 4 feet and then decided he could not cross back over the river in those conditions, which was a wise, perhaps, life-saving choice.
Sad story there. Well, the storms have passed, but they brought some good news for Arizona's water reservoir system. So take a look at the water rushing from Horseshoe Dam into Bartlett Lake yesterday. SRP says Horseshoe Lake was filling up quickly, so today they started releasing water down the Verde River, around 7.5 gallons per second being let out. It will continue over the next few weeks. Now, campers are asked to avoid parking or setting up near water at Bartlett Lake, which should continue to rise. Always nice to have a positive end to messy weather.
That's right. A similar story over in California, where the state's drought conditions have improved after a record-breaking November storms. So some reservoirs now between 100 to 145% of the average levels. So again, some good news. However, experts are warning that the state's water future still remains uncertain, as critical winter months will determine if this progress holds. Southern California still faces challenges with the Colorado River's largest reservoir, only 1/3 full, but a little bit of an upside there.
Yeah, we'll take it. All right, well, the big story here locally is wind tomorrow and cold. We are heading into a cold stretch of weather. It starts tomorrow, continues into Thanksgiving. Chief Meteorologist Tom Wax talks more about that incoming cold air mass and how long it will last.
Well, the big story this Thanksgiving week is the cold air that's coming, right? We've had a mild start to the week, but now here comes the colder air. So let's dive into this a little bit. In meteorology, we call this cold air advection. What does that mean? That sounds like fancy terminology, right? In fact, sometimes I'll hear on social media people say, oh, you meteorologists, you're just making up words to sound smart. And no, that's not what we're doing. Meteorology is actually an extremely complex science. So what we do as meteorologists is we take that complexity and we break it down into simple terms to understand the weather, right? So as you know, what we like to do is really educate and teach the science, right? Because then everything kind of starts to make more sense, right? A little bit at least when it comes to some of our crazy weather patterns. So let me get back to what cold air advection means. You've heard the term convection before, right? That is the vertical transport of air. Advection is the horizontal transport of air. So in meteorology, again, we call this cold air advection, or cold air is advecting into the region from the northwest. It's that horizontal transport of the cold air mass coming in. And what that means in simple terms is it's going to be cold on Thanksgiving. And you can see this cold air really coming in here, and take a look. We'll go into Friday, straight into the weekend as well. And you're going to notice that we largely stay entrenched in this colder air mass. You see another surge coming out of the plains on Sunday. We may moderate a little bit early next week, and that will really depend on storm systems and the like. But then you look at all the real cold air up there by early next week. So you can see how we're kind of right on the edge here, right? So what's going to happen as we go into next week, I think overall we're going to stay pretty cold. But if we nudge up just a little bit in the temperature department and we have chances for precipitation coming in, then we need to watch precipitation type, because it's not just at the surface what's going on, but we're also looking upstairs, because above us, if we get like a little warm nose of air at, let's say, 5,000 feet, that can melt the snow, turn it into sleet, or maybe even freezing rain, depending on the conditions. So being right on the edge like this means we're going to have to pay extra close attention to the precipitation type. Again, I think overall as we head into early December, we're going to be on the colder side. But if we nudge up, again, just a few degrees, that could change the precipitation type. And you know this living near the lake as well. If you live near Lake Michigan, you know that can also play a role. With warmer lake temperatures still this time of year, you get winds off the lake. That can mean rain for lakeshore communities and snow inland. So there's a lot not only on the broad view here that we look at. We would consider this to be the synoptic scale, or broad view, in meteorology. But then when it comes to Lake Michigan, that's more of what we call mesoscale, or even micro scale, really fine tuning, or looking in, really zooming in to figure out what's going to happen across parts of Wisconsin, again, based on wind direction and storm system movement and all that sort of a thing. So again, in the short term, it's going to be cold for Thanksgiving. You can use that at Thanksgiving dinner. Cold air advection on the way as we head towards Thanksgiving. And by and large, it's going to last into next week.
There you go. Big changes again come tomorrow.
We always appreciate Tom dressing to match the weather graphic.
We do. Did you notice
Purple
that?
Tie,
Purple tie. There you
Pretty
go.
smart.
Fashion. High temperature this Thanksgiving, Rob, 32 degrees right now. So pretty comparable to last year. However, we're going to feel like teens because the wind on Thanksgiving is going to be rough.
So I don't feel like last year felt too rough. It was
agree.
chilly. I think we may have seen some flurries in the area, but I don't feel like it was like a brutal cold like we might feel on this one.
Yeah, and in the previous years, it was actually a little warmer. High temperatures the last 2-3 years have been in the 40s.
Yeah, well up there, yeah.
And then the last time we had a 32-degree high temperature was back in 2007. So I know last year a degree warmer, it doesn't really mean, too much. No. Last 31 a while ago, last 30 in the 90s, last 29 about 2013. So I think, based off of this, we've had some, mild Thanksgivings.
Right, of late it has been, but this will be an exception, as last year was a little bit on the chillier side.
It certainly will.
And we have to get to Thanksgiving first before we talk about, whether it's cold or not by historical standards. And there's a quite a bit to get through before we get there.
There is. Today's one of those days when you're a broadcast meteorologist that your normal time is just not enough to give your weather broadcast.
And we have to beg our producers for more, and then they give us a whole half-hour show, and we still want more.
Exactly. Don't give us any more time to talk, because we will talk. But no, there's two big systems. I kind of referenced this at the beginning of the show. We've got one down towards the south. That's what produced some of that severe weather across Texas yesterday, and it's working its way eastward now. You can see some heavy rain up the east coast, and then this bigger wintry system bringing some heavy snowfall to parts of the Dakotas, especially Minnesota, and eventually northern Wisconsin. We're talking, potential snowfall totals of a foot in far northern parts of our state. So this will be by far more impactful snow-wise north of the Milwaukee area, but we'll still get in on wind and still some light snow throughout the day tomorrow. So as Rob mentioned, we got to get to Thanksgiving first. Tomorrow really is going to be the most active day. Thanksgiving is actually looking very quiet. Sunshine will be back. It'll just be cold. So you can see that severe threat down towards the south, slight as well as marginal risk, very similar to what we had out west yesterday. And then with that northernmost system, we've got a combination of heavy snowfall potential and very strong wind. All the pink here is that winter storm warning, purple winter weather advisories. We also have a high wind warning for South Dakota as well as parts of Nebraska, and the rest of us in this tan color extending all the way into Ohio. Those are wind advisories. So we're getting in on a lot of different types of weather as this system works its way on through across the upper plains. Now, first and foremost, towards the south and towards the east, this is just some steady rain right now. Not even seeing much in the way of thunder yet down towards the south, but as we get farther into the afternoon, again, there will be that severe threat, including tornadoes once again down towards the south. The Gulf Coast states, think, southern Alabama as well as southern Mississippi and maybe even the panhandle of Florida into Georgia. And now up towards the north, you can already see where some of that heavy snow is falling, parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, as well as Minnesota. Now, the steadier band of rain south of Minneapolis, we will here in Wisconsin see that first before we see that transition over to snow. That signifies where the cold front is right now. So first we'll see a little bit more rain later tonight, and then tomorrow morning the snow here in southern Wisconsin. Here's a look at our exclusive Fox model. I like what it does with this storm system. Still keeping some rain in throughout the night tonight, but changing over later this afternoon to snow in northern Wisconsin. So once we get that batch of steadier rain, that means the cold front moves through. We may see a little bit of mix overnight and then some light snow on and off throughout the day Wednesday. I know it looks ominous down towards the south, but our chance for snow will likely be a lot lighter than what northern Wisconsin will see. But you'll notice pretty much all throughout the day on Wednesday, there will be snow across the state. So if you are traveling, and I know a lot of people will be for the Thanksgiving holiday, make sure you're checking road conditions and just be prepared to drive in snow and the heavy snow if you're trying to head up to northern Wisconsin. Just want you to know what you're traveling into, both northern Wisconsin and across Minnesota heading on into tomorrow. Now, Turkey Day itself will have a few clouds here or there, but most of us will dry out. It'll just be cold. Snowfall totals look by far the highest across northern parts of our state. In fact, I think the UP here into far northern Wisconsin, where you're seeing some of those blue contours, there could be some lake enhancement from Lake Superior from the UP or across the UP. So that's where some of those higher totals will be. But northern Wisconsin extending into parts of Minnesota, it's not out of the question to see, 8 to 10 plus inches worth of snowfall. The farther south you go, Green Bay to Milwaukee, a couple inches, not quite to Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee will only see a few tenths of an inch, but to say the very least, again, we could still see at least some accumulation even in southern Wisconsin tomorrow. Now to the wind advisory, a good chunk of the state under that wind advisory. That's 6 a.m. tomorrow to 6 p.m. That is for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So here's a preview of tomorrow in Milwaukee, again with sustained wind speeds over 30 and gusts potentially near 50 combined with light snow. We could have reduced visibility at times. Now we focus in on the temperatures. I told you this was a big system, right? So we get some light snow, we get some wind, and we get the drop in temps, which right now you can kind of see out towards the west. We're still looking at a mild day here in Milwaukee, but notice what happens as soon as tomorrow. We drop high temperature-wise into the 30s, but because of how strong that wind is going to be, wind chills will be in the teens, and we drop even more for Thanksgiving Day, and that trend is here to stay all the way through the weekend. Also, if you're doing any turkey trots on Thursday morning, I know that's such a popular tradition here and across many states, wind chills here will likely be in the single digits.
Yeah,
so it's going to be a chilly one and one just to prepare for.
Right, and be dressed for that too. So you'll need a little bit of another layer perhaps, or just need to run a little faster.
There you go.
Let's take our live look at, oh, look at that. We've got the
Beautiful.
trees. We're going to be checking in live with our very meteorologist, Lisa Michaels, who's out looking at trees. She's doing her decorating on company time.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Well, we talked before the break about all of the wintry weather that returns to southeast Wisconsin tomorrow between the wind and the cold and the chance for snow. We have another chance next weekend. So this next segment is fitting. We are going to head out to meteorologist Lisa Michaels, who is out in Mequon at Trees for Less Nursery, which I'm sure, Lisa, is going to be so busy this weekend after the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, it is going to be really busy here. Again, as Steph, you just mentioned, we're at Trees for Less Nursery, and I'm here with the owner, Sam O'Malley, and we're going to break down two different things with this segment. We're going to talk about a little bit of the science that goes behind Christmas trees growing, and we're also going to talk about the fun festivities that they have here on the farm. So if you don't have any plans for Friday heading into the weekend, they have everything you need right here to head out with your family. So, Sam, I wanted to thank you for joining us today. And it's perfect weather now, but we're going to have more, I'd say, holiday-like weather by the end of the week.
That's what it sounds like.
Are you ready for it? The cold, the snow?
We'll see. I'm never really ready for the cold, but we'll see.
So you have a lot of Christmas trees here, right? And I guess holiday trees for those maybe who don't celebrate Christmas. Do you grow your own trees? How do you get such a supply?
We do. We do have a cut your own. We grow the Christmas trees. We grow all kinds of trees, whether it's maples or spruce for landscaping portions of the business. But for this purpose, we do grow a lot of Christmas trees. We grow a balsam and a Canaan for out here. We bring in the Frasers and some of the balsam and the Canaan, mostly from central Wisconsin. Wild rose specifically. We've worked with a company out there for many years.
And one of the things, Tim, I don't know if you can zoom in on. Yes, you're zooming in on the sign there. I think this is so fascinating. I didn't know that different trees have different kinds of characteristics. So some of the stuff on that sign for trees, it could be what? How long they're holding their needles, the strength of the branches, what other kind of different parameters do each tree have?
Yeah, they all have their own unique characteristics. I mean, some will have stronger branches for heavier ornaments. Some will be just fuller and have a great fragrance to them. I have a hybrid of both. And so it's really, they all have their unique characteristics, but all the pre-cuts that we do, which is the majority of trees we sell, they all are a fir tree, and so they all hold their needles really well through the holidays. Just gotta keep them watered.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, you may have noticed last year we had some drought conditions in Wisconsin. The year before that, in 2023, we had significant drought in Wisconsin, and that did impact many areas in terms of not being able to get enough trees, and the trees that were available were very expensive. Did that impact you the past several years?
100%. I haven't been able to get a bunch of the trees in that I would like to on an annual basis. Growing the trees, we had water wagons out 24/7 trying to keep the trees happy and watered. But it's definitely been an issue. It led to a higher costs. It was a pretty good year this year overall, but yeah, it's definitely been part of it.
So have prices at least been a little bit lower this year, you'd say, than the past couple years for someone who may want to get a fresh tree and try it out?
I wouldn't say lower, but they haven't risen a bunch this year.
Good.
They're flat with last year, which is good because for many years they were really rising for a long time. So it's finally stabilizing.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to ask you too about trees is how long does it take to grow a small tree to the size you have here on the lot? Because out in the distance, we can see some of the baby trees growing, and they're very small. They're like the Charlie Brown Christmas trees. So what is the average length of time you'd say for these trees to fully grow before they're cut down and available for purchase?
Many, many years, but it can be anywhere literally from 8 to 12 years, depending on the size of the tree. I mean, if you're talking a 13, 14-foot monster tree, you're a decade in. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, Tim, I want you to zoom in on this car because one of the things I loved is we had a family out here with a little kid riding in this. So this is so adorable. The kids can have fun. They can ride in the little vehicles and, of course, have like their own Christmas tree on top. When we talk about the trees and people choosing one out here and wanting to take it home, what's the process? I mean, you talked to me a little bit before the show that you have to cut off the bottom, but how does it go from picking a tree out here to then getting it on top of your car?
So we're kind of a one-stop shop. So when my customers are out here and they pick out a tree, we say, great, are you getting it in the stand today?
Yeah.
And then if they are, we ask them, then we give it a fresh cut for them. It promotes the tree to start drinking the water again. And so then we take it, we net it, and, you know, kind of like the little car here, we will tie it down on the roof for the customers.
Now, what if there's a bird or an owl in the tree? You know, you hear stories, you see it. I mean, does that really happen that often, or is it pretty rare?
For me, thankfully, rare. We've had a couple, maybe like mice or a squirrel.
Okay.
One time a squirrel, but usually they're pretty good because we do get them unloaded and shaken off and onto the racks prior, so we don't keep them netted before customers are
I mean,
out.
do you get shipments just a one-time thing, or is there a couple shipments you have through the season?
Yeah, multiple.
Multiple.
Yeah, I like to get through my busiest weekend, which will be this weekend. It's crazy out here, and then I get one more shipment to last me throughout the rest of the season.
Fun. Okay, well, we also want to break down a little bit about the fun activities coming for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you may have seen me earlier on camera, I have my reindeer antlers on, and this is going to be exciting. This is a first for you guys here on the farm, where you are bringing live reindeer. And Steph, the reindeer are still flying in from the North Pole, so they're not here yet. So that's why I have to represent the antlers right now. But when are the reindeer going to arrive, and how can people interact with them?
Yeah, they will get here on Friday.
Okay.
Friday midday. All of that's on our website and the social media and whatnot. But Friday, I believe they're here from 12 to 3.
Okay.
And it's a first for us, so it's exciting. And what it'll be a quick experience for the customers. They can take a quick digital photo, and there'll be a little tent, and it'll be really fun to see them for the first time. There'll be a little interaction, but yeah, it's a first for me, so a little bit of a learning lesson on my end too.
And Sam, quickly, tell me about some of the other activities that are going to be going on this weekend if families want to come out and enjoy.
Yeah, so Black Friday and weekends, we always have a bunch of fun extras, which is included with purchase of a tree. So we have a hayride through the woods. It's really fun. There's a bunch of like stick art, and we do a little scavenger hunt for kiddos to see on the hayride. We have a hot cocoa stand. Santa visits us every weekend and Black Friday with his reindeer. Not usually he doesn't have his reindeer with him, but this year's special. And then the roaring fire pit and just a couple of extras that are all included.
Perfect. Well, Sam, thanks so much for joining us. Again, Trees for Less Nursery. We are right here on Wasaki and Mequon Road, right off of it. Great fun time, and hopefully we'll have a lot of people come out this weekend. We'll also have some of our crews out here on Sunday to feature the event as well, and it'll be a little more snowy, so more festive.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it,
Back
Lisa.
to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much. I'm sure this is the place you go to when you want to make memories, and thankful that the drought didn't impact them too much this year. All right, we have a little bit more coming up. Stay with us. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another great episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts. I'm ready to finish my Christmas decor.
I know, and tomorrow is going to make it feel more like Christmas too with the snow coming.
Stay tuned to the forecast, everybody. Be safe. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at noon.